I got a couple job interviews later on today, and it's 5:30 something right now. Yeah, I'm just getting my steps in before I gotta go inside, shower, get ready, and then drive over to the interviews. But that's kind of what brought about this video. I was just thinking about the fact that a lot of things make me nervous that shouldn't. And I just realized like how awkward I can be at times, and that I'm still not, I guess, socially where I want to be or where I feel like I should be. And I guess it's weird because I compare myself to my dad, who's like super outgoing, has no issue talking to people, sometimes about things that are a bit controversial and he shouldn't be saying in public, but he's just him. And I want to get to that point in my life where I can just be me at all times and not feel, yeah, just not feel self-conscious in any way, or just be authentically 100% me. And I've never had the confidence and the, I guess, the self-assurance to just be me in that way. And so that's something I want to get better at. And I think that the only way that I'm going to be able to get there is by getting out of my comfort zone and doing things that I'm not used to doing. And I had 2 virtual interviews yesterday, and before each one I just had these, like, not butterflies, but I was just like nervous. And I was like, why? Like, I've done interviews before, like I know how to talk to people. I've done well. I ended up doing well in the interviews because I got in-person interviews afterward. But maybe until like literally 5 minutes before I joined the Zoom links, like I just had this weird feeling in my stomach. And I'm like, why though? Like, I don't understand. Like, why do I feel this like pressure or just anxiety, whatever you want to call it? I would imagine it comes from the same childhood traumas that caused me to be very socially anxious in general. I think everybody looks at confidence as this one size fits all thing. Like, you're confident, you can do literally anything and not give a damn. But I don't think it's that black and white. It can be specific to certain things. Like, if I'm just hanging out with my friends and we're watching basketball or whatever, I could say do whatever and not feel, not shame, but like, yeah, just no, there's no sense of embarrassment or uncomfortableness or awkwardness. Like, I can freely be myself 100%. But yeah, you take me and put me in an environment like a party or something where I don't know anybody or I only know a couple people, it's going to be a completely different version of me. I was just trying to understand why, in that specific scenario, why was I nervous? And I think it still has to do with my struggle with authority, because that's always been a big problem for me. And so I see, I guess, managers or whatever, higher ups within any organization as, I guess, an authority figure. And so it's like I want to appease them and say all of the right things. And that's just been instilled in me since, I don't know how old I was, but very young is the point. And my parents were very authoritarian in that way. My dad, he was born here, but my grandma's from the South. My dad's older, he's 64. And his mom that raised him grew up in the South in Tennessee. And so it's just a lot of that old Southern mindset. You do what your parents tell you, and it's very like strict about things like that. And that's kind of how I was raised. But that led to me just being fearful of authority in general. And I feel like my whole childhood was walking on eggshells, not knowing when I was going to say the wrong thing that ended up like making them not lash out, but that ended up upsetting my parents. And that was the last thing I wanted. Can't say what they did to me exactly because we're on YouTube, but I think y'all could, piece that puzzle together. I've always been scared to stand up for myself in that way and just advocate for myself. And that's something I really need to get over. And that's really why I'm doing these interviews, because I'm trying to look for better paying jobs and actually negotiate and be able to articulate my skills and explain why I can be a valuable asset. And it's crazy. Like, I'm never as confident as I should be going into something like this, despite being qualified for the position and being relatively articulate and just being a competent person. I feel like a fairly competent individual. I'd like to consider myself to be relatively intelligent. I'm adaptable. I'm a team player. Even if I don't know every single nuance or detail of that specific role, I can learn and pick things up pretty quickly. I should have complete confidence going into these interviews because I know that I'm a capable person, and it's not like I'm applying to be the CEO of Microsoft. So most of the jobs that I'm applying for are within the scope of things that I've already done, and my education level verifies that I'm competent enough to be able to work in this field. So I don't know if it's self-doubt or not wanting the pressure of failure, or maybe it has something to do with, I guess, just a general sense of not wanting to disappoint somebody I see as an authority figure. I'm not entirely sure, but I definitely want to get over that. It really sucks, but the older I get, the more I realize that getting over a lot of my childhood traumas and just becoming a more robust, competent individual requires me to do things that are very uncomfortable for me. And I usually default to sticking with comfortable situations, even if that's not what's most beneficial for my life. And so I'm trying to break out of that habit. And I've been better about it, especially recently, but there's still more I can do, definitely more steps I can take in that regard. And yeah, I guess I was just overall a sheltered kid. And I understand it. Like, I grew up in Compton, and my dad grew up in Watts, and he went down the whole, I guess, getting involved with gangs rabbit hole and just doing a lot of BS when he was younger that got him in trouble. And so he was really hard on us to not go down that same path. So he did a lot of things in my childhood to, I guess, protect us from that. But a lot of people would say that he was a little overbearing with it. And so that resulted in me, I guess, just not being aware of enough things and kind of figuring things out when I became an adult. And they tried their best to, like, shield us and protect us. And that led to me being a bit naive going into adulthood, especially when it comes to things like finances and just having to advocate for yourself and speak up for yourself and demand, maybe not demand, but just, like I said, advocate for what you want, how to negotiate, things of that nature. And my dad's really good at that stuff. Like, like I said, he has no qualms about saying what he wants. Like, my dad's the type of guy that when he goes to, I remember we went to a pizza restaurant when we first moved here a couple years ago, and there was a deal. It was like I think it was like a 2 for $30 deal, but there was like huge pizzas, and I think it was one topping, or no, it was 2 toppings. But he didn't understand the deal. So what he was trying to do was he was trying to get 2 pizzas with 2 toppings on each side. So he was like, all right, on the first one, I want pepperoni and sausage on the left side, and then on the right side, I want ham and bacon or whatever. And the guy was trying to explain to him, and like, it's 2 total toppings on the whole pizza. And my dad went back and forth with him for like 15 minutes. It was pretty embarrassing. And I was trying to explain to my dad, but he just wasn't understanding. And eventually the worker gave in and gave it to him, gave him whatever toppings he wanted. It still gave him the same price. And like, sure, like, he gets what he wants, but I see how that, like, affects other people. And so I'm always cognizant of that. Like, the cashier's just trying to do his job. He's making his life more difficult. And so, yeah, I try my best not to do that. But there's still other areas where I should stand up and advocate for myself more, and I don't do it. And I need to be better about that. Like, for example, I'm doing interviews, like I said, for a new job. And the reason for that is because in the job that I have now, I have been working there for 4 years now. And I've asked several times for a raise or an increase in responsibilities in exchange for a raise. And I've articulated the value that I could bring to them and explained that I saw like a hole or a gap or a deficiency and what I could do to kind of patch that up and what my role could be, because it wasn't a position that already existed. And the manager seemed to be on board with it. He said it sounded like a good idea. He would have to just speak it over with the upper management. And then I asked about it maybe a month later, and he said, oh, yeah, we're going to have a meeting that weekend. So it was like a Tuesday. He said, not weekend, but it was like a Tuesday. He said, it was like a Tuesday. He said, yeah, we spoke about it last week. We just need to finalize the details on Friday, and then I'll let you know. And then like another month passed. I asked about it one more time. He said, oh yeah, we forgot about it. I got you this Friday. Never ended up happening. So that was maybe 3 months ago now. Actually, no, it was longer than that. That was like 6 months ago now. And still nothing has come of it. I should have honestly started advocating for myself or asking for more way sooner, because I didn't do that until 3 years into working the position. And even that I was still nervous about. Like, before going into the manager's office to talk to him, like I said, I felt that same like anxiety or like butterflies, and I was like, why do I feel this way? And even when I started talking to him and kind of pitching him my idea, it was still like, it was hard for me to articulate it in the way that I wanted to, because I was just a little nervous. And so I think I need to do more of that. And I guess it's like get the reps in, so to speak, so that I could do it comfortably and do it on a regular basis. And I'm not sure if a lot of people share a similar sentiment, but I would imagine so. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's uncomfortable or awkward trying to ask for something, I guess. But it's not like I'm just begging or saying, just give me more money. Like, one, it had been several years and they hadn't given us a raise at all. But two, I offered to take on more responsibility, and I articulated the value that I could bring to the company and where they're losing money on certain things. And yeah, nothing came of it. So kind of overplaying, I guess, the back seat, so to speak, and just hoping that people see the value in me and are willing to extend the olive branch to me and support me in that way and take on the responsibility to go get it myself. And yeah, hopefully this resonates with somebody. If not, let me know. I was just yapping. See y'all next time.